Hi, parents and guardians. This is Mr. Jankowski, and I'm one of the school counselors at Oakfield, Alabama Elementary School. And today I am coming to you in collaboration with Miss Wilcoes, who is my colleague in the elementary school counseling office, to talk to you a little bit about behavior and anxiety. During the course of the last week or so, both the school district and our own home offices and emails have been getting more and more inquiries from parents with specific concerns regarding their child's behavior and what to do about it. So today we wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about how behavior and anxiety kind of go hand in hand. To also look for some signs as to changes in behavior and what that might mean for your child, and then also provide you with some tips and some links to better help you assist your child during these unprecedented times. I think it's important to start off by reiterating that it is not uncommon during a traumatic experience or a period of high stress to have a person's behavior change. When we think about it in terms of our young people, children will often act out during these times of stress. And there's that underlying anxiety issue where there's the worry and the fear associated with it. And young people, unfortunately, don't have their full toolbox available to them to help them get through those times. So you will often see an increase in behaviors, sometimes referred to as negative or bad behaviors, because they're not sure how to handle it. A child may start to display certain behaviors as their way of saying, hey, I'm not really sure what to do here, and I'm really struggling, and I don't know where to go or where to turn, and I need some help. So this cry for help is usually a first indication that there's really something going on with the child. If you take for a moment and think about an iceberg floating in a body of water, the tip of the iceberg are the behaviors that we see, and that's usually the smaller portion of the iceberg. So you might see an increase in behaviors, things like anger, sleeplessness, or a change in sleep patterns, negativity or irritability. You may see a lack of focus associated with your child. You may even see avoidance, whether it be from schoolwork or family activities, or even chores. However, underneath that body of water is the larger portion of that iceberg. And I like to refer to that as the feelings part. On that scale, of the feelings, for example, these are the things that the kids are going through during that specific moment or period in time. So some examples that you might see or might be associated, I should say, with the behaviors are feelings of helplessness and insecurity, grief or loss, feelings of loneliness, depression, and also maybe an overall sense of just being overwhelmed by the whole experience. If you think about it, our world has changed forever. We have the things that we've taken for granted are no longer. The way we used to do things are no longer. And I would anticipate that there are going to be a lot of changes as we move forward to keep ourselves safe and healthy, not just as a community, but as a global society. It's also important to note that not all children and teens are going to respond to stressors in the same way. Often people will resort to a primal response when faced with stressors, and that's what we call the fight or flight or freeze response. This response is our body's natural reaction to danger, perceived threats. So, for example, if we were to be driving down the street and saw a car coming at us head on, or if we were walking down the street and encountered a dog that started growling and barking at us, our body would react in a way to protect ourselves. And sometimes these causes can be hormonal, they can also be physiological, and it's our way of just trying to keep ourselves safe in that moment of time. I think it's also important to understand too that as adults, we are experiencing a lot of these same anxieties and stressors that our own children are experiencing. And it's often difficult for us to cope with things that are associated with traumatic experiences. So I think being able to model good behavior or good coping skills helps children kind of settle their fears and anxieties. I'm going to take now a moment or two to go over what are some potential things to look for in terms of other changes of behavior. Some of the common changes to watch for in your child's behavior would include, but are not limited to, things like an increase in temper tantrums, arguing, fighting, or showing signs of defiance or refusal, excessive crying or irritation, especially in younger children, returning to behaviors that they've outgrown. For example, things like toileting accidents, bedwetting, wanting to sleep with parents, thumb sucking would be examples. Excessive worry or sadness, anger.
Hi everyone, Sarah Wilco's elementary counselor for pre-K through 2. I wanted to follow up with Mr. Jankowski's ideas that he shared with you with some quick ideas to help your child manage their anxiety. The big one here is to be patient. We're all under a lot of stress. Our children are in just as much stress or more at times. They're feeding right off of what we are doing. A big thing that we want you to take away from this is that their behavior right now, their misbehavior, is not intentional. It is a symptom. It is their way of communicating that something is wrong. They don't know how to go about that. They don't know how to identify the feelings or manage them. We have to be the ones to do that with them. That's hard enough for us to do right now. They're needing our support in doing that. The good thing is, because Mr. J and I do a lot of work in these areas with the kids, you may even be able to say, well, what would Ms. Wilkos, tell you to do? Or what's an idea she would have? Or what would Mr. J say in one of his lessons? So that might be a good way just to trigger the things you're learning at school can now be used at home as well, where hopefully is the real world and we need to do that. This is the most important thing. And all these can be used with anyone in your life right now. Spouses, parents that you're caring for, siblings, whatnot. Notice and validate their feelings, okay? Just flat out saying, you're looking really overwhelmed. Boy, you're looking mad today. Doing it in a non-judgmental way and just saying what it looks like the feeling is. Even if you are wrong, you're probably going to see this drain off because someone is trying to understand where they're at. So even if you say nothing else, it's just showing your support and your love and you're wanting to help them. If you miss the mark and you're totally off with what you're thinking the feeling is, they're going to tell you, they're going to correct you. And then you're going to have a more accurate idea of where they're at and be able to give some further discussion about that. Okay, so the next one is problem solving and calming strategies. Oh boy. So this is really important. These are the skills, the life skills that we need our kiddos to have. Mr. J and I do a lot with this. We are going to come up with some further videos to help you guys understand both the zones of regulation and the second step lessons that Mr. J does at his level. If you even ask your children about the zones of regulation, they should be able to explain to you that you want to be in the green zone. That's when we're calm, we're ready to learn, we're in control, and we're happy. Going into the yellow and red, we're starting to get those really uncomfortable feelings and starting to get out of control. Blue zone is where we're just starting to feel really sad and down in blue. So they also know corresponding ways to calm themselves down, and they can tell you what those strategies are. Even if you have a conversation about this when they're in a moment of calm, you might be able to come up with a game plan with them for the next time there's a stressor. What are we going to do together? Are we going to both go in separate areas of the house? Are we going to take some deep breaths together? Are we going to do this turtle thing, which they can explain to you what that means? But so be looking for some further resources on that so we can help you along with those things. So the last one is the modeling and the self-care. Children are going to follow our lead. They're going to take on whatever emotions we have and whatever stress. And I know it is hard for us to not pass that on. We're all anxious. We have no end in sight right now. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be like, and it's very stressful. But it's okay to be real with them. It's okay to let them know that this is hard for you too. Obviously, it needs to be limited as how much you're showing them the impact on you. It has to be reasonable for their age level. But, just let them know that, you're there to help them to cope, and you guys are going to get through this together. Okay. There are some further resources, many actually, on our OA website. There's counseling support, there's parenting support ideas, all sorts of things on there, even aside from the counseling pieces. So I really would encourage you to look at that on oahornets.org. If you have any questions, you need to reach out to us. Please get a hold of us. Our contacts are on the main webpage. They will be at the end of this video segment, and we really want to be here to support you. We know that this is a difficult time, and we want to stay strong as an OA family, help you and your kiddos to get through this. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you, and stay safe, and we'll see you soon.